Before sunrise, the Caribbean Sea looks calm, almost peaceful. But beneath that calm, something is wrong. A Venezuelan frigate suddenly cuts its engines. Its radar locks onto a distant signature, something big, something silent, something American. Far beyond the horizon, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer glides forward like a ghost, tracking the Venezuelan ship long before it is seen. No shots have been fired. No warnings given. Just two warships staring at each other across open water. And in that silence, one truth hangs in the air. One mistake here could start a war nobody planned for. This is how a naval showdown truly begins. In the turquoise waters of the Caribbean, far from the eyes of most of the world, a silent tension has been building. It's a tension shaped not by words, but by steel hulls, radar signatures, and the whispers of engines beneath the waves. At the center of this growing pressure is a question many analysts now ask quietly. What would happen if the United States Navy and the Venezuelan Navy met in a direct naval confrontation? To understand the potential showdown, we first need to look at the geography. The Caribbean Sea is a tight and crowded theater. It's filled with small islands, narrow shipping lanes, and shallow coastal waters. This environment works in Venezuela's favor. It is close to their coastline, close to their air bases, and close to their logistical support. But it is also an area the U.S. Navy has operated in for decades, with unmatched surveillance and strike power. Let's begin with the Venezuelan Navy, officially known as the Bolivarian Navy of Venezuela. It is not a blue-water navy meant for global operations. Instead, it is a regional force designed around coastal defense, anti-access strategy, and protecting Venezuela's shoreline. Its most powerful surface assets are the Lupo-class frigates, Italian-built warships armed with anti-ship missiles like the Otomat Mk2, capable of striking targets more than 180 kilometers away. The Lupo-class frigates are fast, agile, and dangerous, especially in confined waters. Supporting them are Venezuela's Guaycuri-class patrol vessels, equipped with advanced sensors and capable of carrying helicopters that provide reconnaissance over long distances. These ships, although not heavily armed compared to Western warships, offer valuable situational awareness in a naval battle. But Venezuela's real asymmetric weapon is its collection of coastal missile batteries and Su-30 fighter jets. If the confrontation happens near Venezuelan shores, these systems can influence the entire battle. Now let's look at the United States Navy, a force built not for regional control, but for global dominance. The U.S. vessels deployed near Guyana and the Caribbean are typically Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. These are among the most advanced and heavily armed warships ever built, floating fortresses of technology. Arleigh Burke destroyers are equipped with Tomahawk cruise missiles, capable of striking land or sea targets hundreds of miles away. Standard missile systems for air defense. Advanced sonar arrays. Helicopters for anti-submarine and surveillance missions. And most importantly, the Aegis combat system, which can track and target hundreds of threats simultaneously. In any potential confrontation, the destroyer's ability to see and strike first would be a defining factor. Now imagine the scenario. It is early morning. Gray light lies low across the Caribbean. A Venezuelan Navy task group, 2 Lupo-class frigates, a support vessel, and a pair of patrol ships, moves quietly along the maritime boundary that Caracas claims as part of its sovereign waters. Their radars sweep the horizon. Their radio communications are tight. Orders are clear: show presence, show strength, avoid escalation, unless forced. Far offshore, beyond the curve of the horizon, a lone U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class destroyer cuts through the water like a knife. Its decks are calm, but below the surface, dozens of screens glow inside the Combat Information Center. The ship has been tracking Venezuelan movements for hours. Unmanned drones circling overhead relay live images. Sensors pick up electromagnetic signatures. The destroyer knows exactly what it's up against. Contact is inevitable. The Venezuelan frigates detect the U.S. destroyer first, or at least they think they do. What they're actually seeing is a reduced radar cross-section, a signature intentionally minimized by the American vessel. Venezuelan radar operators call their captain, unknown surface contact. Possible U.S. presence. The U.S. destroyer responds with a standard maritime challenge. Venezuelan naval vessels, this is United States Navy warship. You are approaching international waters. State your intentions. There is no hostility yet. Only posture. But posture is all it takes for tensions to rise. If the Venezuelan Navy chooses to engage, and this is the point analysts debate most, it would rely on saturation tactics. That means launching several fast, sea-skimming anti-ship missiles at once, hoping to overwhelm the U.S. destroyer's defenses. The automat missiles they carry travel low across the sea surface and are capable of hitting a moving ship from long distances. However, the U.S. destroyer is not unprotected. Its Aegis combat system can track multiple incoming missiles, assigning interceptors like the SM-2 or ESSM to take them down. As the missiles close in, the destroyer's last line of defense, the phalanx CIWS, spins up with its iconic mechanical roar, capable of firing 4,000 rounds per minute. The skies would fill with streaks of smoke, bursts of flame, and clouds of shrapnel. The battle would be violent and fast, measured in seconds, not minutes. But Venezuela has one more card to play, its air force. From air bases on the mainland, the Su-30 fighters, armed with Kh-31 anti-ship missiles, can strike from the air. These jets, powerful and fast, could attempt a coordinated assault with the Navy, creating a multi-directional attack to overwhelm the destroyer. The U.S. destroyer, however, never operates alone. American P-8 Poseidon surveillance aircraft could be circling overhead, tracking Venezuelan movements with high-resolution radar. There may also be a U.S. submarine in the region, invisible but deadly. And the Su-30 jets would need to survive long enough to reach the destroyer, which would not happen easily. U.S. Air Force assets from nearby bases, possibly even F-16s deployed to support Guyana, could intercept Venezuelan aircraft long before they reach their target. The most likely ending of this confrontation is not a decisive destruction of one side, but a severe escalation that neither nation actually wants. A UK RAF plane scrambled. A Brazilian radar tracking hostile signatures. Multiple regional forces suddenly pulled into a crisis. And this is the true danger of a US-Venezuela naval showdown. Not that one ship sinks, but that an entire region is pulled into a conflict that started with a single naval challenge at sea. In reality, both navies know that direct confrontation is a last resort. The Venezuelan Navy understands the overwhelming technological advantage of the United States. And the U.S. Navy knows that striking Venezuelan vessels near their own coastline could trigger a much larger crisis. But in moments of high political tension, all it takes is one miscalculation. One missile locked by mistake. One radar operator misreading a signal. One captain responding a second too late. And the spark could ignite a firestorm. For now, the waters remain tense, but quiet. The ships continue their patrols. The radars continue to sweep. And the world watches closely, knowing that the Caribbean could become